Hello, everybody. Good afternoon to all of you. It's a great pleasure for me to be here. So, my name is Carlos. For those of you that are joining now, we still have a couple of minutes before we start. So, if you are now joining us, make yourself comfortable. Yeah, trying to switch off from our, busy day to whatever activities or thoughts you just had before you join us. This will allow you to experience, this conversation in a deeper and more meaningful way. So it's for your benefit, for my benefit, for everybody's benefit. Use this time to relax, to get yourself slowly in another state of mind. If you're still surrounded by family or distractions or noises, it's probably a good idea if you could maybe get to a place in your house, in your home, which is a bit more quiet, in which you could of course reserve this time and this opportunity for yourself. Good. So let's then start, and we're going to do our prayer. So let's elevate our thoughts at this moment. Let's thank the universe. Let's thank all guardian angels. Let's thank our Master Jesus. Let's thank humanity, our brothers and sisters, our family, our friends, the people we love and like, the people actually that we even dislike. Let's thank them all for offering the opportunities, for offering the conditions, for our soul, for our spirit to evolve, to learn, to become better every day. Let's also thank God for the opportunity, for the technology, for us to be able to be holding this lecture, this conversation, and be able to reach so many people, be able to spread the word of God. Thanking all for that. We ask permission to start the lecture of tonight. Thank you so much, Jesus. So everybody, thank you a lot. Like I said before, it is great to be here. And the discussion we're going to be having today is around my trials, my choices. Our trials, our choices. So many people, including myself, I'm sure you are not an exception, have probably had the opportunities in life in which we question and we asked, why me? Why it has to be so hard? Why am I going through this pain? Why am I going through this rough patch in my life? Why do I have to endure such a hardship? Why me? It's a very common question. It's a very common doubt. It's a very common thought process that I'm sure we all either have gone through or may still go through in life at different moments because of different circumstances, at different degrees as well. And it's about those type of questions that this discussion is probably aimed to bring enlightenment, to bring perhaps not an answer to all of those questions, but bring certainly different perspectives, an opportunity for us to reflect about those questions that for a lot of us do unsettle, do overwhelm us. So it's to try to find ways to better answer those questions. How does that sound to you? I'm pretty sure, like many other fundamental philosophical questions that humanity have been asking for such a long time, the why me type question is certainly something that would please our hearts. It would bring us a level of peace, a level of acceptance that at least would make us all perhaps not be completely resolved, completely satisfied, but certainly a bit more focused. It would strengthen our faith. It would bring us renewed energy, renewed purpose, renewed strength to be able to cope better with the circumstances that are still there. We haven't got an aim throughout this discussion to be able to eliminate the hardship, to completely remove the trials from your life, from my life, because they may not be meant to be removed right now. They may not be meant to just disappear in the next 24 hours, in the next week or two, or the next month, or the next year. Because every single trial, every single hardship, every single problem, every single limitation, every single difficulty has its own purpose. And that's how we start. That's the fundamental first concept that I would like to bring for us to reflect on. Every trial, every problem, if we're able to extract ourselves from when we are so deep into the feeling and the overwhelmingness of being surrounded by this problem, and I think all of you would remember a problem that you have overcome already, and it's now in the past, on your past, in my past. When we are out of it, and when we actually overcame the problem, so we are at the other end of it, and when we look back, more often than not, if you ask people around and you are in a discussion group, you're going to see people will report that they've learned a lot out of the problem. They've learned a lot about themselves. They learned a lot about habits, choices. They've learned a lot about not just on immediate things connected directly to the problem, or maybe the root cause of the problem, what may have caused the problem in the first place, but also they report that they learn a lot about themselves. The thought patterns, the feelings, the behaviors, the emotions that were the platform, really. It was always in the background. Feeling, okay, as a backbone to feel the behaviors, the choices that ended up putting us in such a circumstance. So the important realization then is, even if you agree with me, that you would have heard also from other people or yourself, according to your own experiences, that yes, they do report exactly that. And I'm sure you remember the same. You and I, after going to trials and looking back in my own life, I can say it was tough. It was tough. It wasn't pleasant at all. But I've learned a lot. And actually, I'm happier now than I was 10 years ago. I was better after the problem, after the trial, after the hardship, than I was when I started the hardship. Because that's what shapes our moral values. The hardship, it's like a cleaning product. The hardship is like a rough stone that comes to take all the sharp edges away from this diamond, this precious diamond that is ourselves, that it is ourselves. So as we go through trials, as we go to problems, to experiences, as long as we go through them, understanding that they're not there to destroy us, but rather they're there to improve us, to make us better. And having this awareness when we're going through the phase, through the hardship, makes us stronger. It doesn't really remove the unpleasant feeling or the constraints of that the hardship actually is supposed to bring anyway. So it doesn't remove perhaps the pain, but it can reduce the suffering. See, the pain isn't something we can choose. Because if I cut myself by an accident, my physical body will experience pain. There's nothing I can do about that. However, it is within my control and within my own choices whether I will suffer a lot because of this cut. The suffering is an option. The pain isn't an option. Right? And more often than not, what we mostly struggle with, in fact, is that not a lot of us can dissociate pain to suffering. Not a lot of us are trained or have been taught that one thing is the uncontrolled or the inability of the pain that comes with the problem. And the other completely little thing is actually how I react, my behavior, my reaction, my choices, and how I see this problem and this pain. That can cause me a huge amount of suffering or not as much suffering. And it's all to do with my choices. All to do with your choices. So step number one is certainly for me and you to start facing our problems, our trials, our hardships, the challenge that is still to come, not as something that is coming to destroy us. God doesn't hate you. God is not against us. Actually, the other way around. God loves us, loves you, loves me, and actually, it's not much to do with God at all. That's the other real important concept and truth that a lot of people get bogged down. A lot of people get stuck. Is the belief that whatever happens to us is actually work of God, in the sense that, well, they like to believe that every good thing is the work of God. But then what happens when the bad things happen? Is it God that is punishing you and me? Is it God that is actually wanting us to suffer, to go through trials? Or is actually more reasonably and way more fair that whatever we go through is a result, is a consequence, is the back pay from our own choices? Either choices that we've been making in this life throughout my 39 years of existing current life, or also could be the couple of things that I still experience throughout my 39 years of this current life could be coming from bad choices or bad habits that I fed throughout many of my previous lives. So when I am actually when I am spirit, when I'm not on my own body, all of us as spirits, we have a different vision of the overall life that we believe as human beings incarnated on earth. We all name life as what we know today. Life for me or life for you, our habit is to believe life is what we have now. Life is me being on this body, looking like I am, and with the name of Carlos, and this is life. But no. Life is way, way, way more than that. It's way bigger than that. It goes beyond this body that I have. I am an immortal spirit. And when I leave this body, or when I was not yet in this body, I, as a spirit, had a very different perspective of my whole spiritual life in the bigger picture. And I'm going to read to you now, to us, a passage from the Spirit's book. And there is a question there, question 266. So you can go there and check yourself after the lecture if you want to. The question is the following. Wouldn't it be natural for a spirit to choose the least painful trials possible? And to perhaps provide a little bit of background before I even read the answer. When we are in our spiritual life, planning our next incarnated life, our next life in which we're going to come to earth again, to have our experiences, to keep evolving, to learn, to put the things we've learned to test. We may choose to actually come with a few difficulties. We may choose the trials we're going to experience when we are back on earth. That is a fact. So with that in mind, let's see what the answer is. Remember, the question was, wouldn't it be natural for a spirit to choose the least painful trials possible? So when I'm there trying to choose what trials I'm going to have when I'm back on earth incarnated, wouldn't it be fair and reasonable for me to choose the less painful trials possible? Here's the answer. For you, yes. For the spirit, no. Once it has freed itself from matter, illusion disappears and it thinks differently. So I go further to explain the following. Human beings, subjected to the influence of carnal ideas on earth, only see the painful side of their trials. That's why it seems logical that they would choose those which, from their own point of view, may coexist with material pleasures. However, in the spirit life, they compare such crude and fleeting pleasures with the unchangeable happiness of which they get as a glimpse, then, of what importance are a few temporary hardships. A spirit may therefore choose the hardest trial, and consequently the most painful existence, hoping to arrive at a better state more quickly, just as a patient often chooses the nastiest medicine in order to be healed more quickly. Another analogy that they provide to us is explorers who aspire to having their name linked to the discovery of an unknown country do not choose a course covered with flowers. They know the dangers they will have to face, but they also know the glory awaiting them if they succeed. So this is exactly what happens. This is exactly why for some of us, we may say, but that's too hard. That's too tough. Why me? Well, perhaps it is good for us to remember it could have been our own choice. And if we have chosen that, when we were, of course, with a much bigger consciousness in the spiritual world before coming here, you and me can be sure about something. That those trials that sometimes you and me complain about is actually for our own good. And it only depends on how well, how flexible, how quick can you and me accept them. Acceptance is the key. So we stop getting angry about them. We stop questioning why me. And we actually accept the hardship and try to learn as best as we can from this hardship. That's the key message of today's lecture. And I hope those words of wisdom that came from the Spirit's book came in through the gospel according to Spiritism, feeds your soul, brings you hope, and allows you to have, I guess, a brighter view of those often unpleasant challenges that you may be experiencing or have experienced. And also may feed with further strength for any new challenges that may come your way, may come our way. So, I thank you a lot for putting this time aside for yourself to listen to this lecture. I just want to do a final prayer so we can close our lecture today. Thanks God, thanks Jesus for being with us, for allowing us to be here, gathered in your name, to learn more about our trials, to learn more about our choices, to prepare ourselves better for the rest of our incarnated life, and also to reduce our unsettledness, the overwhelming feeling that we may feel throughout the struggles that we feel in this current life. Replacing those feelings, God, by faith, by resilience, by acceptance, by hope, that everything that is happening has got a purpose. We were the ones behind the planning of our own trials, and therefore we have to own them for our own good. Thanks God, thanks Jesus. Thanks all of you for listening. I wish you all a good week, and we catch up another day. Thank you so much. Bye bye.